No, how long did you plan to stay?
So I had a one-way ticket, and I told everyone, I said, listen, if I don't like it, I'm gonna just come back.
Right.
But if I like it, I'll stay until I don't like it no more. I had enough of the States. I was wrongfully convicted. You know what I mean? I had a sour taste in my mouth behind that. I grew up in certain environments where I'm more concerned about the people that I, grew up with my whole life in terms of doing something to harm me than I am the Muslims abroad.
So I wanted to go into there as a college professor, kind of knowing what's going on and knowing the dangers.
So people go into the U.S. and are completely unaware of what they're dealing with. And if you can't understand that reality, it's going to cause a lot of confusion. You have to really exert effort to learn about real U.S. history. If you go into Western knowledge, like if you're a parent and you're sending your child to a university in the United States, you have to understand that you're going to be engaged in a canons of knowledge that are fundamentally designed against your well-being as Muslims.
A lot of the people from immigrant families are being pushed into these environments and they feel they have to conform and not having the courage to say I'm Muslim or I have to pray. How would you unpack that mentality?
I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna be controversial. First of all, people
Get your copy of the Hijrah Handbook at book.makehijrah.com. Real quick, when did you accept Islam? What year did you accept Islam?
So I accepted Islam.
And how?
Oh, man. So I accepted Islam on April 5th, 1995.
All right.
I was 22 years old, and I was incarcerated. I was living in Georgia at the time. I had moved I'm from Connecticut. I was born and raised in Connecticut, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in the early 90s to go to college. And while I was there in Atlanta, I ended up going to prison. I was actually overcharged and wrongfully convicted, but it's a whole other story. I wrote about it, or I write about it in a book. There was a silver lining in me going to prison. 1995, this is about, I guess, 2 or 3 years after the movie Malcolm X had came out. So, and I grew up on the East Coast. I'm a product of the hip hop generation, and the music at that time was pushing us, and was being influenced by the teachings of Malcolm X. And there was a lot of, if nothing else, Islamic rhetoric or language, you know what I'm saying, influencing the music. Right. So we were already sensitive to Islam and being Muslim, because and we are the first generation of the post-civil rights movement. So we still have that energy, in our blood. We still have that, for lack of a better term, that revolutionary, rebellious spirit about us, at that time. I was already starting to, read about Malcolm X and to read a little bit about Islam and learning a little bit more about it outside of, what was the most popular aspect of it at that time, which would have been the Nation of Islam. So now I'm starting to read, Malcolm's journey and hear about, the Orthodox Islam, the Universal Islam, etc. And so then when I got locked up, that's what happened. I met some brothers. I had already started my journey, and I met some brothers, and then they, we had some exchanges, and then that's when I took my shahada in Atlanta, Georgia, in the penitentiary.
So obviously, when you got out, you started to practice with the Muslims.
I got out in 1999.
Right.
So I got out. So I did 49 months, something like that. 49 months, 50 months.
So you was Muslim already for about 4 years?
I was already Muslim for about 4 years. So we spent a lot of time going from the transitional center in Atlanta, Midtown, to I think it's called the Fifth Street Masjid in Atlanta. And they had bookstores, and all the money I had was used to buy books, like my whole entire time. So when I left, I had a bunch of Islamic literature, and that I took home with me, or that I gave away to brothers. But much of it I kept. And it's funny because I still got a lot of it today, to this day.
So what brought you to Egypt, man?
So after I got out, I just wanted to learn more about my deen, and and I was, even when I was locked up, I was trying to read Quran, trying to learn Arabic, and then when I got out, I said, you know what, I want to go overseas. I want to learn. I want to learn from the people who can teach me the best. I'm back in Connecticut at this time, and I got in contact with some brothers who had connections, to the region, and and they made some recommendations to some places where I could go and learn. And one of the places that came up was the Fajr Center
Right.
in Cairo, which
Right.
was, which at that time had, brothers and sisters, I guess, too, from really all over the world.
Right.
So brothers was coming from different parts of the U.S., different parts of UK,
Right.
France, all over Europe. And so that's what brought me to Egypt, was the Fajr Center.
So how long did you plan to stay initially?
I had a one-way ticket.
All right.
I didn't know. So I signed up for the they had an intensive summer program. And I remember, the Gulf War had just happened. Like the first war had just happened. So I remember my family was like, "You going where?" So I'm going to Egypt. And then like for them, they don't, in their mind, they think that Egypt and Iraq is,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, is like right next door, or the same thing maybe. And so they were like, but so, and I remember, some people having concerns about, my choice. And I just remember thinking, I grew up in certain environments where I'm more concerned about the people that I, grew up with my whole life in terms of doing something to harm me,
Right.
than I am the Muslims abroad. That was
Right,
my
right.
mindset.
No, right.
And I told everyone, I said, listen, if I don't like it, I'm gonna just come back.
Right.
But if I like it, I'll stay until I don't like it no more. You know what I mean? And then, at that time it was just me, and and I had enough of the States. I mean, I was wrongfully convicted. I had a sour taste in my mouth behind that, and I was traumatized by that situation. I was a young kid. I was in my early 20s
Right.
at that time.
Let me ask you this though, man. Like, what did you expect, man, when you first came to Egypt? And it's not really about Egypt, but just in general, when you want to leave the States, do you have in your mind that you downgrading?
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really have no expectations. Man, I just was open to the possibility of, I came to learn about Islam, to study Islam.
Right.
And that was my whole thing. So I didn't know how that was gonna look.
Right.
And I didn't really know nobody. Like, it wasn't, well, I did have some elders that had been here specifically and knew some people here. So I knew some people on the ground through mutual friends. But I didn't really know what to expect. I just was like, okay, if I like it, then I'm gonna stay, and if I don't, then I'm leaving. And I got here, and eventually it was a short amount of time before I realized, oh, I'm never leaving.
Right.
So
what was that adjustment like, though? I know it's a lot different, especially especially in cities like Atlanta. Sure, Connecticut. I mean, that's not a city, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In American cities, compared to Cairo. Cairo's a big city, more like New York City.
Right.
So a lot of people think it's, sand, just desert, tents. People really think that camels, pyramids.
Cairo, I always said this. I've said this like forever. Cairo reminds me of New York City. It puts me into my, people from New York get offended when they say anything is like New York. But it puts me in the mind of New York City in the sense that it's so big.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And everything is so big. They do everything big out here.
Right.
Everything big.
Right.
And so it puts me in the mind of that. I mean, and yeah, you do have the, you have the old ways.
Right.
Like, cause it's an old civilization,
right.
Old society with, so you still have that element here.
So let me ask you, man, like, how does it feel? So you came here with a one-way ticket, and you kind of you weren't sure how you're going to navigate after you've depleted your savings or have you, right? But now you're coming back a little differently, right? So you could say you want to stay here, or you could say you want to stay somewhere else, so you can move around. And then if you need to enter the job market, you're not going to enter at a low level. If you wanted to stay there and whatever you wanted to do, you got to. Yeah. So I mean, what would you advise? Like if somebody came and asked you, said, "Look, man, I really don't want to stay here. I want to go overseas." What would you advise that person in terms of preparation, like based on your experience?
Do some research on what's needed out here. It's good to understand like your value, like what value do you have? Like, so if you want to come here or anywhere in the region, understand what the people need, and try to fill that need. And it might take some sacrifice. You might have to do some training. You might have to go through some programs, and whether it's like, AI is big right now.
Right.
So, anything related to AI, any kind of, and I don't even know what they have out there in terms of certification or programs or whatever, but that's what they need.
Right.
That's what everyone needs. Like that's like the cutting edge. So, anything related to, the digital technology world. And even if you have a job that you could, in the States, that you could, do remotely, or if you can find a job that you can do remotely, you can, come to the region and figure out a way and post up that way.
Right.
But if you're just an entrepreneur, I mean, everybody can't be entrepreneurs. Like, the Muslim countries need literally everything. They need every kind of position. And I think that'd be the biggest statement I can make about that.
Are you tired of the 9-to-5 trapping you? Are you unable to relocate because finding remote halal income is a major obstacle? Then you need to consider Muslim Certify. Muslim Certify helps Muslim men earn anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 per month by becoming appointment setters for online businesses. Imagine earning a thriving income with just a laptop and an internet connection, giving you the freedom to live anywhere in the world and make Hijrah without financial worry, inshallah. Muslim Certify has over 150 brothers in their program with plenty of success stories. Check out the link in the description for more details. So that's why I wanted to go into there as a college professor, kind of knowing what's going on and knowing the dangers. Like because you got people that didn't go to school in the States. Some of them guys came from Pakistan, wherever they came from. And then, of course, they value education and they think it's the best education over there. Brother was saying that, just to preface it, African-American brother, he had some, I don't know, he's Pakistani, something like that, Pakistani brother that he knew. And he knew her daughter when she was young. So she used to wear hijab, and they used to have her memorizing and stuff. And I think his daughter's was friends with them. And he said he saw her. He recognized the car. He saw her get out the car, and she didn't have no hijab and nothing, skirt on, whatever. And he greeted her and everything. But he was saying that she needed to do that in order to. She didn't need to, but she did that in order to not stand out, be able to try to have a career.
Yeah.
That's what they thinking.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not saying that they even have to do that. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing or not. But definitely, that's what she thought.
Yeah.
And if you probably quiz her on some Quran or something, she'll give it back to you. And she still say she Muslim and everything. It's just that this is what I have to do in order to. And then sometimes the pressure is coming from the family.
Right.
Like, we pay for this education, so they want them to have careers, and they, you know what I mean?
We've had the conversations in the past about the behavior of Muslims, on college campuses, right? Like the way in which I view it and the things that I've seen and experienced. Mm-hmm. And it's a mixed bag, but, I think that a lot of the people from countries that are predominantly Muslim, they, I mean, all of them. I'm not singling out one. They all struggle when they come into the U.S. You know, and the struggles might be different. You know, you know what I mean. But they all struggle in terms of because they don't know the U.S.
Right.
They don't know the country. They don't know the history. They don't know the politics of the country. They don't know the societies that make up the country. They don't understand the culture, the cultures that make up the country.
Right.
And they definitely don't know the history because who's teaching that?
Right.
You know, they hide all of this stuff. You know, you have to really exert effort to learn about real U.S. history.
Right.
Which, you know, and if you do that, you'd be surprised at what you learn. You know, so and a lot of them, you're not getting that from those institutions. None of them. Especially if you're learning like STEM stuff, like, you know, science, technology, engineering, math.
Right.
If you're learning those subjects, you're not learning anything about what the U.S. is really about. So people go into the U.S. and are completely unaware of what they're dealing with, and they overestimate, you know, what could happen to them there. So saying all that to say, it doesn't surprise me that the story that you gave, because the peer pressure there is significant. Like as a metaphor, this is the best way that I would describe it. So in the book that I wrote is called Heirs of the Great Migration, right? And it basically talks about the Great Migration as a period in the United States when African Americans, Black Americans left the South and migrated to the different parts of the country. So, you know, your family is from, you know, your family's from Wisconsin. My family is from Connecticut.
Right.
You know, we know brothers who are from Detroit, from Chicago, LA, Oakland, et cetera.
Right.
All right. How did we get in these places? How did our families, which all of our families originated in the South, at some point they left the South and went to these different places.
Right.
So that period in history, it was like a 50 or 60 year period of this mass migration of Black folks outside of the South into these cities. And that's a big part of our history. Right. As Black Americans, that's all of our history. We're all rooted in the South. Right. And our families at whatever point left the South and went to wherever, New York, New Jersey, LA, Oakland, Chicago, Detroit, wherever. Right. You know what I mean? So now we all came to those places with Southern values, with Southerners who had certain values, conservative values about, you know, how to behave, how to respond to your elders, how to, you know, greet people. You know what I mean? Like, we all had these values. These are Southern values that we all have. Right. Right? And but when we moved to these cities, New York, Milwaukee, Chicago, wherever, we were raised right, but we made the choices that our parents didn't necessarily agree with. And they definitely didn't promote those choices that we made. We just made them. Right. In part because we were products of our environment. You know, we were trying to fit in with, you know, my grandparents, they're from North Carolina. You know, they country down there. I'm from Connecticut. My other half of my family's from Brooklyn. You know? And, you know, my father's family, they from Harlem. We not country. We from the north. We from up north. We Northerners. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we are trying to differentiate ourselves and cut off our roots to establish this other identity that we weren't necessarily raised, and do things that we weren't necessarily raised to do. Right? I don't see it any different than the Muslims who come from Muslim countries. Okay, I get it. I get what you're going with. They come from Muslim countries, haven't been raised right, haven't been taught Islam. They know, many of them memorize Quran, you know, like, and then they come to the U.S. and, you know, and they want to fit in. You know, they think that they They think that there's something better than what they have, right? And so it's the migration stories are the migration stories.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there are all these dynamics that come with migration stories.
Right.
And so I see a lot of these on the college campuses. I see a lot of these individuals from these different countries who are struggling with, just being in America, being Muslim in America from another country.
Right.
So education is important, but the right education, like it's not a wrong education. It's not wrong that you learn how you learning engineering or math or how to be a doctor. That's not wrong.
Right.
But you also need to have an education about the society that you're a part of and the cultures that make up the societies. You
Right.
need to be informed about the history of the people and the place that you're in.
Right.
Because when you cut off history, it's very difficult to understand where you are. And it's very difficult to understand where you're going if you don't really understand how all of where you are is connected to the past. And I think that's one of the struggles that a lot of the Muslims from Muslim countries find on the college campuses in the U.S.
To get your consultation from people on the ground in the Muslim world, go to consultation.makehijrah.com. Someone made a comment, and they said that they were tired of faking, tired of being in company parties and excusing themselves for whatever reason, not eating the sausages and all that stuff, and not saying why, not saying that we don't eat pork, or not having the courage to say I'm Muslim, or I have to pray, or I have to. And it's funny because that's an indicator to me that you don't understand because that never was an issue, at least for a lot of us. Maybe for some people it was, but like wherever we go, it's like it's time to pray. Tom want to say something. You're like, man, Tom, I'm about to go pray. It was never a feeling that I had to hide who I am. And even when it's time to go to Jumu'ah, like, look, I need off on Fridays. I need off at this time, or this, that, and the other. It was kind of a straightforward approach. Like, look, this is who I am, and I don't care if you like it or not. But a lot of the people from immigrant families are being pushed into these environments, and they feel they have to conform, or they have to, hide their identity, or just so that they make sure that they can keep the job and that type of thing. I mean, how would you unpack that mentality?
Well, again, it's understanding. I'm gonna say something that's kind of probably gonna be controversial, but if you look, well, okay. First of all, people will respect you if you just tell them who you are, if you show them who you are. And if they don't, then how is that my problem?
Right.
How is it my problem that you don't like the person that I am? Or the alternative is I'll be somebody that I'm not, hoping that you might like me. How does that make sense?
Right.
But these are the two options that they're going to be faced with. You can just be who you are, and then the people that like the person that you are, those are the people you gravitate towards.
Right.
And if they're coworkers that don't like you, then your job is to do your job. You know what I'm saying? And then if they don't like you for being the person that you are, that's not your problem.
Right.
You just do your job.
Right.
And gravitate towards the people that respect you, because a lot of them are going to respect you, because they're going to ask questions about, things that they don't know, and they're going to want to know things about Islam. And then, so it becomes an opportunity. Now, but if you don't share that with them, you miss an opportunity to teach somebody something about Islam who genuinely might be interested in learning about Islam. But because you're scared to be who you are, you miss an opportunity.
Right.
So there's that. Now the other thing is this. Again, if we look at history in the United States, let's take Muhammad Ali, for example, right? People love Muhammad Ali all over the world.
All over the world, yeah.
All over the world.
And they know him, yeah, all over the world.
He told you, man, listen, my name is Muhammad. Don't call me Cassius Clay.
Right. It wasn't popular back then either.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, this is 1960. Wasn't popular. Right. It's still not popular. He was so ahead of his time.
Right.
He said, my name is Muhammad Ali. And he said it with his chin up, look you dead in your face, and he will bust you in your mouth if you didn't respect it. You know what I'm saying? So this is the blueprint. This is the blueprint for how you move and how you operate in America. And all the blueprints in America in and around Islam, we know where they start. We know where they start. Muhammad Ali, the Nation of Islam, and I'm not saying that the Nation of Islam, I'm not equating the Nation of Islam with Sunni Islam. But they are the ones who made Islam a household name in America. They are the ones who made America put respect on the word Islam and Muslim. This is how the words Islam and Muslim garnered respect in the United States was through the efforts of the Nation of Islam. Whether you like that or not, it don't matter. That's just what it is. I didn't come through the Nation of Islam.
Right.
I didn't accept Islam through the Nation of Islam. So I'm not someone that's trying to, I'm just saying, just as a fact of history, right? Many of us accepted, and we can't even forget a lot of the brothers who left the nation and came into, a lot of the first generation of Muslims in the US left the nation and came and joined, became Orthodox Islam, Muslims or whatever. Right. And then many of their kids were never part of the Nation of Islam. They were just into the fold. So, this is the history of Islam in the US. This is just what it is.
Right.
And so, but they were the ones who held it down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And made people respect Muslims and Islam. So now if you Muslim, you can move, no matter what kind of Muslim you are. You know what I'm saying? You can move through the society in a way that people are going to respect you. And that's just how it is.
Let me ask you this, man, just in conclusion. What advice would you give these young men and women, Muslim young men and women, in terms of being a leader? I don't know. Some people say leaders are born, and they're not made. I don't know how true that is. But some people just don't care what other people think. Like they just do them no matter what. And that's the guy that was, everybody gravitated towards. That might be the guy that he dressed different than everybody else and he didn't care what nobody said about it. But what would be your advice for them? Like to maintain their identity, because some of them actually look up to the West. They look up to being American, of being anybody that's American. They automatically feel inferiority.
My advice is we have to understand like the world around us and the societies and we just have to understand the societies that make up the world that we live in. We need to understand. We need to understand people, right? And so we could look at the term. We could look at leadership in a couple of different ways. We could look at leadership in the ways in which the Prophet ﷺ was, but Allah chose him. That wasn't his. He was minding his business when Jibril came to him. Right, but he was still a leader amongst his people. The people still, even before that, the people admired him and came to him, to settle disputes and things like that. So he was even considered a leader. But I think in his story, you can see the humility, and you can see the humility that he had, and you can see the love that he had for his people, and you can see the love that he had for doing what was right. And so these are general qualities, that I think people gravitate towards. People don't gravitate towards like tyrants. You know what I'm saying? Like tyrants aren't leaders. You know what I mean? Like bullies aren't leaders. People just scared of you.
Right.
But you're not a leader. You know what I mean? So I guess that's like there are two templates. I guess you can take from that. You know, you got one. You can think you're a leader because you bully people, or because you got a bunch of money, and you string people along because you got something that they want, and so they go along with it. That's a tyrant and a bully, or a kind of bullying, or tyranny. And then you have folks who are the people who run through a brick wall for you because they know you're a genuine person. They know that you love your people. You want to do right by folks. You want to please Allah. You want to do the things that is going to benefit society in some kind of way. People want to like, these are the people I want to be around. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever is like that, I want to be around those kinds of people. In the U.S. and in the Western world, that model of leadership is not valued. They admire and they teach the tyrannical top-down leadership model.
Right.
And again, if you don't understand, if you go into Western knowledge, like if you're a parent and you're sending your child to a university in the United States, you know, you have to understand that you're going to be engaged in a kind of knowledge, or in canons of knowledge, that are fundamentally designed against, you know, your well-being as Muslims. And if you can't understand that reality, it's going to cause a lot of confusion. And if you just dive into the Western knowledge wholesale without being able to unpack how this knowledge is going to help you in any kind of way, or how it's going to take away from, you know, take you away or move you away from your religion, if you can't make that discernment, if you can't make that decision, if you can't understand that, it's going to be easier for folks to just, you know, be quiet around time and not let Tom know that they're going to pray, or to not let Tom know that they don't eat pork. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's going to be an indication of it.
Right.